So, Mr. Hume, my first question is, what Surrey should do to make a future look better, brighter, and to involve community more in the life of city and the municipality?
Well, first of all, Surrey is doing a lot of good things, a lot of things right. When you look at other cities in Canada and around the world, Surrey has a very unique opportunity because you don't have an old decaying downtown, for example. You're starting to build and create a new downtown. That's a very unusual experience for cities, and it's a very exciting one. So you're well positioned to build and grow Surrey in this new dynamic urban environment. We understand that all cities now are in a global hunt for talent. Where young people decide to go or young entrepreneurs decide to go is a tremendously important decision that they and their families will make. Part of what they will make that on is the kind of city in which they want to live. So for Surrey to provide an environment, an atmosphere that is dynamic and interesting and fun and really one of the leading cities of BC and Western Canada, that creates an opportunity to attract those bright young minds to Surrey to keep them here. And that's a huge economic as well as a social and cultural advantage for the city. So that's really the opportunity that Surrey is facing. Some of the things specifically, I really like the Mayor's State of the City address, where she talked about how you're going to link science and medical and education and all of those things, because that's a big part of the future, there's no question about that. I also think that Surrey needs to look at the physical structure of this city, the places, the spaces, the physical presence. The gateways are not wonderful. They can be better. The downtown obviously is in construction. I mean, you're trying to create a new urban center. So those are some of the challenges ahead, some of the great things they're doing as well.
You said today that Surrey has great amenities, but the problem is in transportation. What's the right direction for Surrey? Is that like we have, for example, now SkyTrain or Light Rail, or some mixture of those two?
I think public transportation for almost every large city is a very major issue. And Surrey has got to have some investments. It's got to improve, I would think, as an outsider, its access to the SkyTrain. We've got, what, 4 stops in Surrey, I think?
3. 4. Yeah, 4.
Okay. All right. So for a city of roughly 500,000 people, that's not very impressive. So if you're going to make it easy for people, you don't make it easy for people to get out of town. You make it easy for people to come into town and to move around town. So that's an issue that the city's going to have to look at. I think as well then alternate public transportation, be it bus, rapid, above ground, whatever it might be. I think those are going to be situations you're going to have to look at, and that's going to take some dollars. It's big investments. How are you going to fund Translink, and how are you going to fund that kind of investment? I think is one of the emerging issues for Surrey in the future.
Today you also spoke about questions of leadership and including young people in leadership. We know that the 1/3 of Surrey's population is under age of 19. What city should do more in that area for our youngest population?
I was really impressed with the number of young people attending the Community Summit today. And to me that spoke volumes about how they want to be involved in building Surrey in the community. And that's why I made a point of trying to congratulate them for coming and acknowledge their efforts. Anytime you can get emerging leaders involved with and committed to its community, I think that's a huge stride forward and a great advantage for any city. And one of the realities is that emerging leaders are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. There's no question about that. They are going to be the ones who provide the ideas and they create the jobs and so on. So to get them involved at the earliest stages and build them up, I think is wonderful for Surrey. The fact that you're getting so many is both a good and a bad. How are you going to keep them? How are you going to make sure that they have interesting jobs? How are you going to make sure that they have an interesting social life? How are you going to make sure that they can afford to buy housing, which is a challenge in southern BC, Metro Vancouver, we know that. Are they going to be drivers of cars? Are they going to be users of public transit? If they're in any of those fields, going to college or whatever, was looking at the sign at SFU here. They're saying there's a lottery for parking. Well, that means you got an issue in that regard. So they're going to have to look at some of these things. But overall, when you're getting this many young people coming in, that's a huge economic, social, cultural, and environmental opportunity and benefit for the community.
You also spoke today about literacy and libraries. We are here in the neighborhood of one of the biggest and probably the best libraries in this part of Canada. What we should do more in that area as the part of preparing them to be the new leaders of the communities?
I am a big fan of your library, and I'm a huge fan of literacy programs to increase and elevate the literacy and numeracy rates in Canada. People are shocked when I tell them the literacy rates in Canada are around 55%, numeracy levels are around 45%. That shouldn't be acceptable to us as a society, as a community. The fact that Surrey has made a stated council policy now that literacy is a thread that runs through all of its policies and programs and bylaws, that's an enormous statement to make as a community. And you now need to expand that and grow that program, because that will also have an economic benefit to the city as well. But literacy rates around 50%, that's just not acceptable in today's society.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, I enjoyed it.